I got started in motorsport pretty young, at the age of about 12. Originally on two wheels. I rode motorcycle trials for about 5 or 6 years, competed at a national and some international level also. I won an Irish championship in the junior ranks, that was under 18. And then my interest switched to four wheels, where I began training as just a regular mechanic. And about 2 years into my training in a dealership, I just went to work for a more motorsport based company, preparing rally cars mainly. Maintenance and some building as well, so that's where my interest began. I didn't get the chance to drive until about 2004 when I discovered drifting, and it was the first affordable motorsport I really came across. So I've been doing that now 6 years, and it's been going really well. From my very early days in drifting, back around 2004, I was probably mostly influenced by D1 drivers, Japanese guys. I think most of the European series was. I think originally my style was geared more towards how those guys were driving, especially the likes of Ueo and an underpowered crawler, which is what I was in. So that's really what I tried to do. Initially it was just drive the car as hard as I could. I think it's changed a lot over the years now as I've got more horsepower and I've travelled to different countries, especially to the States and Formula D. I've kind of had to adapt my style for sure, for the different judging criteria and just a different game really in Formula D, running outside clip-in zones, stuff like that. So I think it's hard to compare my style to any one person in particular, but right now I just try to be as consistent as I can, get my lines down every run and not make any mistakes. That's pretty much what I live by. I've been really lucky to work with some great sponsors, right from my early days in the Pro Drift series back in 2005. I got my first sponsors really, which was EA Games, one of the first I ever worked with. We helped them launch their Need for Speed Most Wanted game back then. And I've been lucky enough to work with them again quite recently, helping to launch the Hot Pursuit game. So that's one of the bigger sponsors I've had a good relationship with over the years. I've also had Hankook Tyres on board from my early days, probably a couple of seasons into the Pro Drift series. They've been very good to me, and I've got great tyre support from them over the years. And one of the biggest sponsors I've had probably today, and what I'm probably most well known for, is my partnership with Rockstar Energy Drink. That was a big deal, and it's a big international company. We worked really hard to get that, and it ran really well for the season, and it's one of the big reasons I got the chance to drive in Formula Drift was the fact that I had Rockstar on board in 2008, made it to the World Championships, and they were instrumental really in getting me a drive out in Formula D. 2008, 2009 I began to work with DVS Shoes, which from a motorsport background a lot of people wouldn't be familiar with, but I spent a lot of my spare time riding BMX and downhill mountain bikes, so I'm very familiar with the whole skate BMX scene, and DVS are a really strong brand here in Ireland. So it was a great deal. I was very happy to work with them. They've been helping me out for a couple of years now. I get to ride at all their skate events that they have here in Dublin. Off the track and away from the higher pressure environment of pro drifting in Formula D, I spend nearly every other weekend at some sort of practice event. We just go out and have a lot of fun. I try my best really to help to get people involved in the sport, because I think when I started out initially I found it quite difficult. There was really nowhere to practice. We had very little tracks, and there was certainly no one to teach us. So it's something I enjoy doing a lot and have a lot of fun with. I also think that I'm blessed really to have a lot of support here in Ireland, and even throughout the whole of Europe. I think all the European drivers that have got the FD and competed internationally are blessed really to have the support of so many countries and so many people behind them. So that's another thing I think I can bring to the team, a lot of international support and a lot more exposure for the team at an international level, especially over here in Ireland and in Europe. With Formula D being based in North America, I think it's only fitting really that GM are involved. They're such an iconic brand in the States. They're a massive company, and it would be great to be involved with such an American brand and help promote that and bring it forward and bring some new models to drifting culture. I remember my very first walk through the pits at Long Beach in 2009, my first event, and one of the first cars I came across was the Gardella Racing Pontiac Solstice, and I was immediately just blown away. The quality of the car was unreal, and it also seemed to have very similar dimensions to a Corolla, very similar wheelbase, so it's something obviously I'm interested in trying. I'm more used to driving smaller cars. I have more fun in them. So although I'm not used to them, I think it's great to have GM involved in drifting. The sport needs big corporate backing and manufacturers involved to push the game forward, and having modern vehicles like the Solstice and now the Camaro that's out there also really helps attract sponsors, and I think it can only do wonders for the sport. I'm a big fan of four-cylinder motors. That's pretty much all I've ever owned. Four-cylinder turbo and naturally aspirated motors are just, they're great fun to drive. And of course the obvious weight advantages compared to the V8, and I think Gardella proved a big point last year, back in 2009, coming second in series with a four-cylinder turbo motor against pretty much a fleet of V8s. They proved that it can be done. But the direction that Formula D is going, I think it seems to be beneficial to have a V8. Obviously, the Gardella crew guys came to a decision, and they certainly know what they're talking about. The car with the V8 and now seems to be performing just as good. It doesn't seem to have any ill effects to the slightly heavier weight, and as I said, I think Formula D has gone the direction now where you need that instant power. You've got slower guys in front of you, especially, is a big problem when if a turbocharger involved, you drop out a boost, you're in trouble. And I just think it takes a lot of pressure off the driver. Having a V8 in there means you've got a much broader torque band to play with. You can slow the car down and pick up its pace a lot easier. I think it's great to see the guys have made the car work just as well, if not better, with a V8 motor in there. It's kept its reliability, and Ryan proved that it can work in a small chassis, and I think it's the way forward for the direction at least the Formula D is going in North America. I think V8 is the way to go. Before I got started in drifting, I was primarily a Honda guy. Really, I was into front wheel drive Hondas. I had a number of Honda Civics, and in fact I still am. Really, I've got the S2000 motor in my Toyota Corolla. So I was familiar with Gary's name from back in the early days. We used to watch, as close as we could. We used to watch as close as we could what was going on in the US drag scene, from reading Modified Mag and a couple other magazines we would get here in Dublin. So I was familiar with what Gary was doing with his Honda. It was unbelievable, and then seeing him change from that into the GM cars, then getting Red Bull backing and just progress through the ranks and really, dominate front wheel drive drag racing. So I was familiar with Gary's progress, and then when I arrived at FD in 2009, like I said, he was one of the first people I met, and just blown away by the whole Gardella racing team and their setup, how professional they are. I still believe the car that they run is the best built car there. I've never seen anything like it. So it would be an awesome opportunity to be involved with the team. It's great to even have this opportunity just to even throw my hat in there and maybe get a shot at it. But fingers crossed it'll work out.